YouTube, I got a very special unboxing for you today. Extremely eclectic. I got antique travel clocks. I have a #1 minute repeater from a very, very special brand, an uber rare watch, one of 9. Your Pateks, your Rolexes, some couple of special Zeniths, as well as we're gonna go back to the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. Let's go. I'm gonna jump right into this. I don't even know where to start. Oh, speaking of Zenith skeleton chronograph. So here's that watch in its chronograph version in a black ceramic and still skeleton. Bigger in size, extremely well executed and beautiful watch for the money. Zenith is often overlooked as a brand. I talked to a lot of collectors. I remember when I started out back in the day. Some of the newer collectors probably can't relate, but the minute you mention the word Zenith, they think of a VCR because Zenith did make house, not appliances, electronics. Bell and Ross, an aviation company, very airplane related stuff. Look, you even get a plane patch. So it has something to do with the French Air Force because it's in French. Where's Marco when you need him? So I'm guessing this was done for the French Air Force. Very niche brand, but still popular within its own niche. Anybody that likes pilot related pieces will reach for an IWC first, and they will almost always reach for Bell and Ross. Very military style watches. Military style watches genre was hot for a minute. Bell and Ross was very hot for a minute. Watches started going that, oh my God, I want the big offshore, the bigger the better. And Bell and Ross really fit in well, and they made a good name for themselves. But when it comes to military style watches, Bell and Ross is right up there with IWC, especially when we're talking about pilot watches. Patek, Adrian's favorite boxes. Good things come in brown boxes. I say good things come in green boxes. I don't see any AP boxes. This is what, it's so unnecessary. Just like you gotta do this and then that and blah, blah. Speaking of pilot watches, a 5522 from Patek. Again, one of those pieces that is plain Jane, but yet rugged. Of course, when the first iteration of these came out, people were making fun of them and said it looked like a Zenith, and what is wrong with that? I don't know. If you want something that's just not your typical Calatrava, that's just very dressy, thin profile, smaller side, I think these pieces are the way to go. Again, more or less without breaking the bank when it comes to Patek, because let's face it, any Patek, you kind of break the bank. But now we have this Patek. Speaking of, again, pilot-y like Pateks, 5235 rose gold. Always said when it comes to rose gold watches, the best color combo is black and rose. Like rose gold looks really good against black and vice versa. At first, when I saw it on pictures, because on pictures it looks a lot brighter. When this watch first came out, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. And then I got it in person, and I have to say it works. It really does work. And I like the way when the lights bounce off of it, it goes from lighter to dark. Just a little more fun to add to the watch the dial. Again, Patek's everyday occurrence here in terms of sales, in terms of purchases, because look, at the end of the day, you know you have your Rolex, that's at #1, right? And when I say, and then there's #2, and then there's everybody else, and Rolex is up here, and then 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth, are way down there. Let's get back to some of the stuff that I mentioned. And I mentioned to you that this is gonna be a bit on the kiddie side, if you will, right? And that's because I bought a couple of Disney watches. Yours truly, Gerald Genta, that was his thing, all right? And Mickey Mouse was his boy, apparently. Mickey Mouse, oh, here we go. Not Mickey Mouse, but Donald Duck. So Gerald Genta made a lot of the Disney characters, and one of them was Donald Duck. And this is your typical Gerald Genta retrograde, jump hour, you can see the hour sheet, you can see the minutes here. And what happens is, let's see if we can do this. So you see how the golf club sort of swings? And when the hour changes, it jumps back. And it'll just keep going every hour on the hour like that, which is cool, imitating a golf swing. Sort of, I guess you can call it mechanical movement, kind of like the Genghis Khan when the minute repeater set off. So these came in from our Hong Kong office. And of course, here's the Mickey Mouse version of that same watch. I'm not gonna bother showing you how it works. The only difference here is that the jump hour is actually at 6 o'clock, where over there is sitting at 5, and then the retrograde is a bit bigger, but it's kind of like the new 𝗙𝗵𝗲𝗯𝗆 watch with the finger, but much cheaper. It's not $1 million. What else do we have here? We have a Gerard Perregaux Loreato with the blue dial. A watch that during the stainless steel hype, the skeleton hype, actually came up in value tremendously and then went back down exactly where it was supposed to be, much like some of the Royal Oaks. The issue with Gerard Perregaux is they make way too many watches. There were too many closeouts on the market and the prices have dropped significantly because of that. Also, guys, tell me the last time you saw Gerard Perregaux advertising of any sort whatsoever. Their marketing is non-existent, right? But they pump out watches, they make great watches, and I actually did a whole video on Gerard Perregaux on one of the older What's on My Desk. This is an iconic company with a lot of iconic designs. There's a lot of stuff that goes down with them. But when you don't do the advertising, when you make too much products, your prices tend to go down. When something goes through the roof and it comes back down, it never crashes down below to where it used to be. It tends to stay, for the most part, above that market price. So therefore, they become more affordable, and I think that people that want them are going to pick them up. Glashutte, a brand that you don't hear much often. It's sort of that 𝗙𝗰𝗲𝗯𝗍, as people like to call it, Olanga or Langanzuna. This is a porcelain dial. Any watches out there with porcelain dial, they're very difficult to execute because porcelain is very, very fragile. To put it in a watch and make sure that it lasts, even if you drop the watch and doesn't crack, is a big feat. One of those forgotten Swatch brands again, because again, not a whole lot of advertising out there. I wouldn't be surprised that, you know, the same watchmakers that worked for Lange worked for Glashutte and so on and so forth. I'm sure they crisscross somewhere because it's all from the same villages, from the village of Glashutte, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. A blast from the past, probably one of my favorite, dressy/sporty Royal Oaks. Royal Oak in itself is sporty. But what they've done in the past, if they made the Tuxedo version, this is the 39mm, and they also made it in a 33mm, so his and hers. This is the his. Again, lots of bling, lots of diamonds. What I love most about this watch is look at the dial execution. Even the hands have little 𝗴𝗿𝗲𝗍𝗍 diamonds set in them, as well as the hour markers. They call it a Tuxedo for a reason, because this is the perfect watch to wear with, I'm gonna find its strap. It's that fake leather that's shiny, pleather, I guess? Like a pleather-like material where the strap is just as shiny as the dial that's inside, right? Because this is a flat, it's a type of a finish. It's not a stone dial, but it's a type of a finish that makes it look like it's a flat, shiny finish. Look, zoom in on this dial. See how that's it? And it actually had, maybe it's in the box, also came with a matching strap that was just as shiny as a thing. And when they named this watch Tuxedo, they couldn't have come up with a better name. Tuxedo is the perfect name because it looks like a watch you would wear with a tux, especially if you got a his and hers. I also bought some clocks in auction. This kind of stuff doesn't get any love. I have a lot of clocks around my office and stuff, but look how pretty this is. Just like, how do you not? Wow. How do you not buy something like this? Piece of history. You got, what do you call it? You got enamel, or actually porcelain, and drawings by an individual that drew one of these. This is porcelain, painted, hand-painted porcelain. Like you just can't. What's the saying that all the grandparents say? They just don't make them like this anymore. So you can actually keep it in the case, because this comes out, and the way, this is a travel clock, right? So, you know, here's a modern version of a travel clock. So here's a Cartier Santos travel clock, right? And the way you travel with it, this thing folds up like this, right? You can go into your backpack, you can travel with it, and this is an alarm clock. Way before all of us were born, this is how you travel with these travel clocks, right? And rather than taking it, you don't even have to take it out of its own case, it kind of set like that, right? I'm just excited about the packaging as I am about the actual clock, so. Oh wait, there's another clock. I'll just quickly show you. But look at the gilt bronze clock, just nice and heavy. It's just beautiful. They're going to be maybe for sale, yes. I haven't decided yet. Last but not least, you guys know I like to save special things for last. And boy, did I come up with something special. These things, when they made them back, first of all, this watch came with an extra back. But it looks at the extra back, you can probably, for those that know, will guess that this is a Sympathy 37S model. And then, let's just look how cute this is. Like, you even get a case for the pusher. Like, it's just so extra. Like, I feel like these are the things that a lot of the current manufacturers don't pay any attention to. You see that in the independents when it comes to packaging. Like, they really take, care of packaging things up and giving you all the little things. And lo and behold, what is the watch? This is a Roger Dubois Sympathy Perpetual Calendar Minute Repeater in platinum. Now, Sympathies, older Rogers, prior being purchased by Richemont Group, they've gone up in value tremendously over the last few years because collectors started picking them up. Rule of thumb is that, all of these were made out of edition 28, 88, limited edition of 8, and so on and so forth, all ended with 8s. With that said, people always say, well, which one? The most collectible Sympathys are going to be your 37mm case. And here's the key. You can find similar watches where the crystal is around crystal. Notice that the crystal here, the shape of the crystal actually matches the shape of the case, the weird Sympathy case, right? I don't even know what to call that shape, right? It's a square that somebody went inside and just kind of did this and you got that, right? So they did later make watches that were bigger and the crystal was round. And the reason is because this is very difficult to execute, the shaped crystal. Any shaped crystal on any watch is difficult to execute because remember, crystal is still a stone. It may be synthetic, but it's still a stone. So it's very, very difficult to execute. So these are going to be your most collectible. This is number 1 out of 9. So this was the very first minute repeater perpetual that they made in platinum. If you want to talk about a holy grail when it comes to Sympathy 37s, this is one of them, and the only other one I can think of is they made 2 pieces out of palladium. It was a perpetual calendar chrono, or maybe just a perpetual calendar. We had one of those a while ago where they made 2 of those, literally just 2 pieces. It was some kind of a prototype. Let's see if you guys can hear this. Well, I hope you heard that because I certainly did. So guys, I think we're done. So YouTube, thank you so much for tuning in. This does it for me for today. I brought a very nice eclectic mix for you. Hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully in the next one I can bring something even more special. Remember, like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.